Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome to my very first multiplayer races on Gran Turismo 7. I thought it would be a good idea to bring you a bit of an insight into how the sport mode works on the game. The first thing you'll notice as we jump in here is that yes, once again we have 3 daily races like GT Sport, and also that tuning is required for all 3 of them here, although these races were done before the launch of the game, and therefore things could be slightly different after the release, but I wanted to give you an insight into the experience I had. So a couple of things here. You can pause it because I'm going to go through these quite quickly. If you just want to read what these say, these are just some of the information panels that they show you when you first load into the game. So championships there, leagues, format. So a couple of bits of information about those. And then also some about etiquette, because there is no etiquette video like there was on GT Sport. You know, the what is sportsmanship, that isn't present. There's just a couple of little notes there. But we're going to jump into our first race. So this was a daily race B, and it was for cars rated 480 or lower. And as we get our nice first penalty there. So once, you know, it's the normal kind of format we've seen in GT Sport. You jump in, you have a little bit of a warm-up, and then you jump into the race based on your grid order that you set in a qualifying time. And for this one, I went for the Subaru BRZ. It's a 3-lap race around Trial Mountain. And what I wanted to do was just kind of go to the back and just see how the race pans out, see if there's any lag with the other cars, see if it's easy to overtake the other cars, just get a better feel of the race. Now, this guy here was pretty slow. I don't know if he tuned up his car to the required kind of level. So he's got the Mazda Demio, which I think is normally about 340 pp. Always feels weird to say pp, but it's what it is. And actually the Demio guy left about 4 seconds later. Then here we have it, guys. My first ever witnessed ram in GT7. So yeah, barely seconds into this race, and already people are sending each other to the Shadow Realm, which is, I don't know if it's fantastic to see or if it's awful to see. I should really say it's awful to see. It's awful, and we really want to see clean, fair racing. So yeah, I highly denounce those actions. Onto the back straight, in 4th place, only 6 of us here. But again, these were done pre-release, so it's not fully representative of what it's going to be like, because I think it's going to be 20 player races in the final game, and I'm going to bring plenty of videos and live streams of all of that, so please do tune in. But I thought I'd bring you these races anyway, because I think that actually it gives you a good indication of what the races might be like, a good indication. And also the race I had at Deep Forest after this one was actually just a really good race, which you should just watch anyway. So we've got a bit of contact here with our fellow Brit. Going to keep 3rd places in the Delta Integrale as we head down the hill in towards the final chicane. Now this is a part of the track that is surely going to enhance overtaking. I'm a little bit too far back to go for aforementioned overtake. So we're going to try and open up the final corner here. So you see here different interpretations of how to take that chicane. And I personally prefer to go a little bit slower through the first bit to give you a better run through the second. And, you know, that's my interpretation of it at least. So for the first couple of corners, absolutely abusing the track, but it seems to be clean as long as you keep 2 wheels on the curb. Seems to be justified. Into the tunnel. Getting nice and close to the wall on the inside, up behind the Toyota 86 down the hill, and of course just trying to brake a tiny bit earlier on the downhill corners, as you normally don't get as much braking stopping force when you're braking downhill, and just carrying a bit more speed into that one. Onto this left hand, there's quite a weird corners. You have to turn in, I think, a little bit earlier than you think to get the apex and the exit speed. Tucking into the slipstream. Slipstream definitely is not as strong in Gran Turismo 7 as it was in GT Sport. It's having a bit of an effect there though, as you can see. We're going to pull alongside a nice little drag race between the two of us. That's 129 miles an hour, 134 miles an hour. Braking for the left-hander. Are we going to overcook it? No, actually that was pretty good. I'll take that. And we're going to exit that corner quite nicely. So we've moved up into the lead. And it seemed, you know, all rather smooth sailing. Seemed like a good fun little battle there. You know, a couple of people punting each other about. And a good little battle with this guy here. And I didn't really spend too much time on my tune for this car. Just quite quickly put together some parts for it. Didn't really spend any time tuning to an extent, really. I just upgraded parts. I think we should make that distinction, that I just added parts to make the PP rating higher. Let's take a look at the second race I did at Deep Forest, this time in the BMW. Now this one, the car starts at 708 PP, but the race was limited to 700, so I had to change it about a bit. Now one of the easiest ways to change a small amount is to add some ballast, which is exactly what I did. Eventually I got it to 700, so it didn't actually take that much effort to tune this car to get it to the right rating for this race. So let's see how this one goes. Traction control off the line, but the BMW is a little bit sketchy. We're up against two Porsches. Now there's only 3 of us in this race, but this was a really good race. Like, I really enjoyed this race. So it doesn't really matter that there was such a small grid. As I said, this was pre-release, so there was only a couple of reviewers who were playing, but I wanted to just give you a demonstration of what the multiplayer can be like. And of course, in the final game, when we play that very soon, there's going to be a lot more players in the game. There's going to be 20 player lobbies, so it's going to be a lot busier. It's going to be much more fun compared to just playing against 2 other players. But I think this gives a good demonstration of how balanced and how close the online can be, because this race turned out to be extremely well balanced between myself and at least this driver in front, the Hungarian driver. It's actually a very good race. Now the main thing I'm struggling with this BMW is the traction. It is very, very ropey indeed on corner exit when you get onto the power, so you have to be extremely careful. Conversely, the Porsche 911, which is being driven by the other 2 drivers, it's actually very, very good on grip, and the one behind is going to go for a big overtake, go a little bit deep, get a poor exit, and I'm going to get the old switcheroo. And I think that is actually my first recorded old switcheroo in Gran Turismo 7, which is just absolutely incredible. Absolutely love to see it. So into the first corner, lap number 2, and taking a different line compared to the Hungarian driver there, preferring to brake towards the apex, and I think that does save you time overall. So I think turn 1 at Deep Forest is best taken as a sort of V shape. So brake, go in hard, deep, cut back, and then drive off the corner in a nice straighter line. I think that's the quickest way to drive that corner. But we shall see. So just dropping over this corner, down this long left, and then this is quite an easy corner to get the braking right for, because the tarmac on the bridge changes colour, so you can kind of use the first tarmac change as your braking marker for when to brake into that turn. Kind of sets you in there quite nicely. Not close enough to really go for an overtake here, but the good thing I think about Deep Forest, and why I think this change to the circuit is a positive one, or can be a positive one, is that you have that corner there, and then another long straight into a big braking zone. So you have 2 long straights into 2 big braking zones consecutively, and therefore overtaking should be fairly easy, because I think at the rest of the track is actually going to be quite hard, because it's quite a narrow, twisty circuit for the most part. Not really close enough. I'm going to take the line I'd normally take. Unfortunately, I mean, it means I go into the side of him, so it's not ideal. Thankfully, neither of us, crash or spin out there. A little bit later on, he makes a mistake onto the bridge. I'm just going to try and cut back here, and I managed to do it. So now it's a drag race between the 2 of us, and I think I've just got the space there alongside him. It's going to be very, very close indeed. So a drag race between the two of us through the tunnel into the final corner as we head into that braking markers. He's actually going to be a bit braver on the brakes. And out of nowhere comes John Cena, who's going to go flying through. Bit of contact. Now this is something I didn't notice in my review video, because I did include that little clip there. And the Hungarian driver actually appeared in the comments of that video, and he said that the Italian here did actually serve a penalty. We're going to try and go back past him here into the first corner, braking at the end of the curb, pretty much on the 100 board, and you get into that corner just fine. Bit of contact between the two of us, but I had the inside, so it's all fine. And if you look here, the Italian, as we go through the penalty zone, he suddenly loses a lot of time, like 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds I think it was in the end. So it looks like he did actually serve a penalty. So it didn't show anything above his car, which it normally does, or at least it did in GT Sport. But he did actually serve a penalty there, it looks like. So I didn't save the replay of this race, so I can't actually go back and properly analyse it and see, but it looks like he served a penalty. So therefore, you know, it looks as though, you know, there are contact penalties. It was quite a hard hit into that chicane, and I think it was the right call. And it's just interesting to see that the penalties perhaps are turned on for contact, which is a good sign, which is a good note, and, you know, it was the right call ultimately. So positive step, I think. Now lap 5 out of 7, heading down the hill. You might notice that it's only a 7-lap race, so it's not as long as Daily Race C was in GT Sport. Tried to do another old switcheroo here, but he was more than wise to it and just parked on the apex, and I couldn't really go up the inside on the exit as I did the lap a couple of laps ago. Trying to go to the inside again, not quite happening. Stay there as long as possible, then move to the outside as late as I can to force him narrow. This will hopefully give him a poor exit. And he does have a poor exit, but I also have a poor exit. Get a big portion of oversteer. So are we close enough to go for a move here? That Porsche does have good grip, good traction off the turn, and I'm not really able to get close until later on the straight. You can see here, definitely a better straight line speed. It just takes too long to get there. So we're not close enough. He takes quite a wide line in. I think I'm definitely quicker. I just can't quite get the overtake done, and actually I think I really like this battle, because it shows that around some tracks, you know, it's not easy to overtake. You do have to work for it, and it's actually a good challenge. Wasn't close enough to go for the move here into the hairpin. I'm just trying to size myself up, because I've not been close enough into the first corner really at any occasion on this race, but this is as close as I have been for the entire race. And we're going to head into the final lap here, so this is my best overtaking opportunity so far. So let's see if I can do it. I'm going to go to the outside, try to move to the inside last moment, but again he's covered it off. He knows that he has to cover the inside, especially with such a long left-hander. I'm going to try it around the outside, tiny bit of contact, and I'm not quite able to go the long way round, and I don't think that contact really changed anything. I think he would have stayed ahead anyway. But it shows you just how close this battle is. He's gone a little bit deep there. I'm going to try and cut back. Wasn't quite able to do it. Again, he was wise. He just parked his car on the apex. He knew that he was a little bit compromised there, and did the right thing. Cover the inside. Make sure I can't do a switchback. It worked on the first lap against the other driver. But this guy's actually very wise with his defence. A little bit strong, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's anything illegal. He's just parking on the apex. I'm forcing me the long way round, not really able to do it, and it's a good defence. I made a mistake there onto the back straight. Wasn't close enough here, and through the hairpin. That's really my last chance gone, because we're not going to go into turn 1 this time around. This is the final lap, so it's going to be a second place. And to be fair, I think that was a really good battle between the two of us. So yes, tuning was involved, but I don't think that instantly means that multiplayer is not going to be easy. I can definitely see the argument though that lots of players, you know, don't want to spend time tuning, and it definitely was a strength of GT Sport that you could just jump in and you knew that everyone's car was the same, or everyone's car was BOP'd and therefore was balanced. So I can definitely see, you know, both ways. But what I would urge is that we give GT7 some time and see how it really pans out in the short, medium and long term with the online. We went again. I'll quickly recap this race. So we did another one here. Quintin there, very, very fast player, one of the fastest in Europe, so it's interesting to see how we compare to him. Until that happened, we had a bit of contact on the first corner. Just an unfortunate collision because I was in the middle there of 3 and it just happened. You know, I don't think anyone did it intentionally. It was just like bad positioning, unlucky positioning. We overtook the Castrol Tom Supra there on lap number 3. And I'm in the Porsche this time, which I find a lot easier to drive. And we actually caught up with the Hungarian driver who actually made a return. And I was able to go past him this time. So a little bit better in this car compared to the BMW. The BMW, I mean, it's not bad, but, well, maybe it is bad. It's just the straight line speed is very hard to manage. I was actually able to lap this car very consistently in the 27s. And again, another 27 on the final lap. So the Porsche, a very good choice. I got the fastest lap in the race, actually. I was actually catching up with Quintin for the most part in that race. So I was actually quite happy with the performance there, despite the crash at the beginning. But that is just a quick look at the multiplayer and a couple of the races that I had, which I actually really enjoyed, even if tuning was a thing. But there you go, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the multiplayer and on this video. But I shall catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.